Welcome inside the latest episode of Trailblazer Weekly. We are live on CEC TV and SouthernUtahLive.com. I'm Keric Seegmiller, the voice of the Trailblazers. Today we'll take a look back at the last week in Dixie State athletics with men's and women's soccer, women's volleyball, football, and women's golf results. Then later I'll sit down with volleyball head coach Robyn Felder, and we'll wrap up the show with a look ahead and a player profile feature with volleyball senior Delayne Daniel. There's lots to talk about, including spectacular goals and a National Player of the Week. So let's do this. Trailblazer Weekly starts now. We kick things off today with women's soccer. The Trailblazers played two matches last week. First, a non-conference matchup with Westminster College in Salt Lake City last Tuesday. The Trailblazers and Griffins played to a scoreless first half, and after more of the same in the second half, the match seemed destined to end in a draw. But Dixie State had other plans and broke through in the 86th minute when junior Darian McCloy corralled a redirected Montana Hadley free kick and fired home a shot from 6 yards out to propel the Trailblazers to a 1-0 victory. Dixie State then took that momentum from the Westminster match to Cedar City for an exhibition matchup with SUU on Saturday. Dixie State took an early 2-1 lead in the second half when senior Erica Gonzalez found Darian McCloy for a goal, but SUU came back to knot the match at 2-2 and later scored the game-winning goal with less than 4 minutes remaining. Women's soccer now stands at 2-3-0 overall and opens Pac West play a little bit later on today. To men's soccer now, as the Trailblazers look to build on the momentum of a 5-0 win over the University of Mary on September 11th. Dixie State hosted Northwest Nazarene on Saturday in its home opener at Legend Solar Stadium and struck first in the 32nd minute when junior forward Aether DeWood found the back of the net on a powerful blast from 35 yards out. The Crusaders evened the match at 1-1 on a penalty kick early in the second half, but let's be honest, the half really belonged to Trailblazer sophomore Gabby Medina. Medina headed in a pass from his younger brother Moises to regain the lead at 2-1 midway through the second half, then later in the half added an insurance goal, beating the NNU goalkeeper in a one-on-one situation to push the lead to the final score of 3-1. The win marks the second consecutive win for the Trailblazers, who, like the women's team, now sit at 2-3-0 overall and will open Pac West play later today. Back to the court now as the women's volleyball team looked to build on a 1-3 record at the D2 West Region Showcase a week earlier. The Trailblazers opened Pac West play with two matches on the road last weekend, stopping first in San Diego to take on Point Loma. The Sea Lions took the first set on Friday, edging Dixie State 26-24, but the Trailblazers responded behind the senior leadership of outside hitter Delayne Daniel. Daniel connected on a career-high 23 kills to help Dixie State win the next three sets 25-19, 25-21, and 25-20 to open Pac West play with a victory. The Trailblazers then headed to Irvine for a Saturday evening matchup with Concordia. Dixie State broke a 14-14 tie in the first set against the Eagles and rolled to a 25-19, 25-21, and 25-11 sweep to improve to 2-0 in Pac West play. Delayne Daniel again led the way with her fifth double-double of the season with 15 kills and 13 digs, both game-high marks. And if going 2-0 on the road wasn't enough, Daniel was named Sports Imports AVCA Division II National Player of the Week on Tuesday for her efforts in the wins. Daniel also earned Pac West Player of the Week honors on Monday and is the first Dixie State volleyball player to earn the AVCA's national honor in the program's NCAA Division II era. So congratulations to Delayne on those honors. We'll hear more from her later in the show in our player profile feature. Back to the field as the Dixie State football team headed to Spearfish, South Dakota for its first matchup with Black Hills State on Saturday. The Trailblazers looked to rid themselves of the sour taste of a close loss to South Dakota Mines the week before. But a stagnant first half that saw Dixie State gain just 38 yards of total offense set the Trailblazers back to a 13-0 hole at halftime. The deficit grew to 3 touchdowns at 20-0 after a Dixie State fumble was returned for a touchdown in the third quarter. But the Trailblazers refused to go down easy. Freshman quarterback Josh Thompson scampered in from 3 yards out to cut the gap to 20-7 late in the third quarter. Senior running back DeJon Coleman pulled Dixie State to within a touchdown at 20-14 late in the fourth quarter, scoring on a 23-yard screen pass. The defense then forced a Black Hills State punt, and a dramatic finish was set up at Lyle Hare Stadium. Thompson guided the Trailblazers to the Black Hill State 29-yard line, but the drive stalled and a pass on 4th and long was batted away, sealing the 20-14 victory for the Yellow Jackets. With the loss, Dixie State falls to 1-2 overall and in RMAC play. The Trailblazers will hit the road again this week, and we'll tell you their opponent a little bit later in the show. To the golf course now, as the women's golf team opened its fall schedule in Goodyear, Arizona at the Western New Mexico Fall Intercollegiate. The Trailblazers finished in 16th place out of 20 teams with 2 rounds of 31 over for a 2-day total of 62 over. Sophomore Katie Perkins posted a top 10 finish in her DSU debut as she carded the Trailblazers' low round of the tournament with a 1 under 71 to finish in a 6-way tie for 7th place overall at +3. Perkins penciled in 7 birdies on the tournament and 13 pars in round 2 to lead the Dixie State effort. Junior Colbert Collinsworth was the number 2 DSU finisher and tied for 43rd place, followed by freshman Ashley Fernandez, who tied for 77th place, freshman Taylor Bandley in 91st place, and sophomore Caitlin Hamburg finishing in 100th place. We wrap up this segment now. We take a look at our Trailblazer Weekly Athletes of the Week, and this week they should come as no surprise. On the men's side, men's soccer sophomore Gabby Medina receives the honor after netting 2 second-half goals on Saturday to help propel the Trailblazers to a 3-1 victory over Northwest Nazarene. Medina found the back of the net in that 59th and 82nd minute to help DSU secure its 2nd straight victory. And those goals were pivotal as now the Trailblazers head back out on the road to open Pac-West play. On the women's side, volleyball senior Delayne Daniel receives the Athlete of the Week nod after finishing with 38 total kills, 37 digs, and 4 total blocks to lead Dixie State to the road sweep at Point Loma and Concordia Irvine. Daniel was named both Pac-West and AVCA National Player of the Week for her efforts. So again, congratulations to Gabby and Delayne, this week's Trailblazer Weekly Athletes of the Week. With that, we'll take our first break. Volleyball head coach Robyn Felder joins us on the other side of the break, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back on Trailblazer Weekly.
What are you, superheroes?
Just 4 brothers who hate bullies and love this city. Gear up, guys.
There is a place where looking out means looking in, where an impression lasting only a few seconds will be imprinted on a life forever, where courage is forged and innocence rediscovered, where remembering is rewarding and forgetting unforgettable. There is a place where truth is felt and where seeing is believing. There is a place. There is a place where the sun doesn't hide in the winter, where the greens stay green and the crimson canyons still glow. There is a place where dimples determine destiny, and a tiny wooden tee holds the outcome in the balance. There is a place where we drive for show, putt for dough, and settle the score with another round. There is a place.
Welcome back inside Trailblazer Weekly, live from the CEC Television studios. It's been a great week for the Dixie State volleyball team, and it's my pleasure to welcome head coach Robyn Felder to the show. Coach, thanks for being here.
You bet.
It's always a pleasure to have our coaches and our student athletes on to get to know you a little bit better and to discuss the season, and let's do that right now. You're about 3 weekends in to this season, 5-4 overall right now, 2-0 in Pac-West play through the first 9 games of the season. What have you learned about this year's team that maybe you didn't quite know as well a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, those first few weekends, you're just trying to find your starting lineup. Chemistry is different, leadership's different. So I think we learned a lot preseason, just as far as who our go-to players are, who's going to step up and lead us, and different things like that. Opening up, obviously, 2-0 in the Pac West for the first weekend was awesome, gave us a huge confidence boost. So I think we're just now starting to kind of find our rhythm and move forward.
You talk about, team chemistry and how important that is. Of course, that's important in any team sport. But as I look at volleyball and kind of the amount of energy that you need to play with on a consistent basis, I think that that's even more so important in volleyball. And so these first couple of weeks through fall camp, through the first few games, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems like these first few weeks are just monumental in this. To the success that a volleyball team will have.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship off the court has been awesome. The girls get along so well. The chemistry's been great, but finding those 10 athletes that mesh well on the court, that are doing their jobs, that are, it's a totally different ballgame. And so we've tried different lineups, we've tried different kids, and I think we've kind of found a group now that seems to be gelling really well. We've got kids that are behind them, that are pushing them. So I really feel like there's just good energy in the gym of just, we've found our group, but everybody's just pushing to make everybody better.
Let's look at each of those first 3 weekends, some home games and then out on the road as well. But let's look at that first weekend. You host the Crystalline Invitational Tournament, and you start at home, and that's kind of what I want to key in on here. And we've talked about it before in other interviews, but you go 2-1 in that weekend, and pushing the record aside, I know you would have wanted the 3-0 record that weekend, but how nice was it to open at home, to not have to worry about the stresses of being on the road and the travel and hotels that first weekend?
It was huge. We've never hosted before. So the fact that we got to be at home, sleep in our own beds, it was insane. I mean, it was so amazing. The crowd was great. We had a great crowd for every game. Yes, we would have wanted to go 3-0. But I think really what we learned from that is just, where we were champs last year, we have a target on our back every single game. And if we don't perform efficiently every night, then we can't win games. And every team is gunning for us, and so we can't take a night off. And so I think that's really what we learned from that Northwest game. Granted, they did a great job. I thought they outplayed us a little bit, but really we just can't afford to take a night off if we want to be where we want to be at the end of the season.
Of course, speaking of good volleyball teams and ranked volleyball teams, after that weekend, it was off to Roanoke Park, California, and the D2 West Region Showcase. And I think it's a fitting name as you take the top 2 teams in the Pac West, the CCAA, and the GNAC, and you just kind of throw them all in the gym and say, have at it. You go 1-3 down there, but maybe, record aside, you played 3 ranked teams, and you would have wanted a few more wins. But how important was that experience for you still to go in and play some ranked teams and to show your team these are the type of teams that we're going to have to beat if we want to accomplish the goals that we want to? Absolutely.
I mean, that's exactly what we want to do. Those teams were better than us at that point in the season, and so it was a learning curve for us. It was humbling. I would have liked to compete a little bit better. I would have liked to see a little more fight, but we just couldn't quite get our confidence in check. We just were hot and cold all weekend. 2 players on, 2 players off, and if you're going to beat those big time teams, you got to have 6 kids that are playing well all the time. And so finding that balance of everybody being on, we just couldn't do it. So we learned a lot. I think we saw some of the best teams in the nation. So once we come back to our conference, nothing seems scary anymore. It's like, oh, we saw a 6'4" outside hitter. Okay, we're fine. So I think that challenge early on is really going to pay off later in the season.
Speaking just directly to kind of the event itself, the D2 West Region Showcase, obviously the Pac West, CCAA, and the GNAC crossover has been a thing of the past, and that will continue to be, but they kind of dubbed it that showcase. How excited were you to go down and play in that? And that's one of the marquee D2 volleyball preseason tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fun because we saw Alaska last year in the postseason. We saw San Diego, all those teams, we've seen them in the postseason every year, and we don't really see them until the postseason. So the fact that we see them preseason and then we see them postseason, it just shows for me how much better we get as the year goes on. We may not have competed as well preseason, but come postseason, we'll be right where we need to be.
course, you wrapped that tournament or that weekend up with the win over Sonoma State. You get the win over the host school.
Yeah.
That had to feel nice to get that win and to beat the host school in the process.
Oh yeah, I think just winning, they were like, okay, we're not the worst team in America, you know. So, and we swept them and we played really well. So that felt good to get our offense going, and they wanted it. I mean, they were hungry after losing those 3 games, and I felt like they just came out to fight that last game.
The momentum from that Sonoma State game obviously carried over. You opened Pac West play last weekend in San Diego at Point Loma, and then in Irvine at Concordia Irvine, winning those matches 3-1, and then sweeping Concordia on Saturday. You really couldn't have asked for a better start to the Pac West season on the road to boot.
Absolutely. You know, those are 2 top teams. I mean, they were 2 top teams last year. And so coming into Point Loma, it's a hard place to play. Their gym is big, they're by the ocean, the air's different, the ball floats differently, so it's kind of a tough gym to play in. But we just came out swinging that first night. You know, kind of fell apart at the end of the first game, but really just had control of that match from there on out. And then carried that into Concordia. I felt like we just came in with guns blazing and we were fearless. We didn't, you know, wait and see what they were going to do. We just came out and did what we wanted to do, and it worked out pretty well for us.
And you mentioned that first set at Point Loma on Friday, and just kind of some mistakes on your side. Probably felt like you kind of beat yourself in that game more so than the other way around. But what was your message to the team between the first and second set on Friday in San Diego to say, calm down, we're fine, let's just play our game?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were mad at themselves because they were in control that whole game till the last, 6 points. But really, when we serve and pass well, we win volleyball games. And our passing fell apart. We couldn't get any offense going. We were giving them free balls and they were running their offense. And then they got momentum. And so, when you can't pass well, it just, every element of your game just goes down from there. So we just went back into, we got to serve and pass. We got to serve them tough, get them out of system, and then we've got to take care of the ball.
The next night in Irvine on Saturday, taking on a team that was previously undefeated at 10-0. That gym's not quite as big and wide open as the Point Loma gym, but I've been in there for basketball games and it can get loud.
Rowdy, yeah.
And it just had to feel good to get that win to go to 2-0 in Pac West play.
Yeah, I mean, Concordia is a great team, and every statistical category they've been amazing. Awesome offense, great defensively. So like I said, I think going into that, we just said, don't wait and see what Concordia is going to do. You have to go in and take it from them. And you could just tell the looks in the girls' eyes. I mean, they were just like, we are not I mean, there was just an energy in there that I was like, oh, we're fine. They're here to play. Whereas I think sometimes we get a little nervous or we wait and see what other teams are going to do. It wasn't happening, so that's what you like.
You had some great senior leadership on that trip, and more than just one player, but we're going to talk about one player specifically. Outside hitter Delayne Daniel basically played the weekend of her life, and maybe I shouldn't call it that because you guys are probably used to that, her playing this way all the time, but she wins the Pac West and National Player of the Week honors, and if I understand correctly, that the National Player of the Week honor had never been before achieved by a Dixie State volleyball player in your Division II era. So just a phenomenal weekend by Delayne Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that she hit such a high percentage, she was so efficient, and then she dug almost more balls than every libero. So she just made great reads on defense. She saw the court so well. She was just calm, and she was a leader. I mean, that's what we've loved about Delayne this year, is she's gritty and feisty like she's always been, but now she's positive and she's being a leader, and it's been awesome to see her just transform into that go-to player that's just leading our team.
Of course, we'll have a player profile on Delayne a little bit later in the show today, but we were all just really excited for the team and for Delayne specifically. Now we take a quick look ahead at the next few weeks. You get 5 of your next 6 matches at home here in the Student Activity Center before with a non-conference game with Westminster sprinkled in the mix. A wonderful opportunity to continue to set the tone that you want to set in Pac West play at this point.
Yeah, being at home is the best. I think it can only just snowball confidence. We're tough to beat at home. Our gym is unique. It's small. It's low ceiling. There's a lot of variables that we're used to that other teams aren't. So it's definitely an advantage for us to play at home. And our goal is to we don't lose at home. We take care of business at home, and then we go on the road and we get teams rattled. So I'm excited to be at home.
And of course, 2-0 in Pac West play, and any team sport likes to preach this, that you you lost a few games in the preseason, but once that conference season starts, it's a new season, and you're playing to defend your Pac West title.
Absolutely. I mean, we said that the minute we got done playing. Guys, we're 0-0 right now, and we learned a ton. I mean, we could have padded our season with, preseason with, lower teams and been 10-0 or 20-0 or whatever, but we chose to play really tough teams, and we got, we figured out our weaknesses. So we got back in the gym and we worked on those. So I think for us, we're really glad about that.
And we've seen that in years past too, where you play these tough opponents and maybe drop a few matches here and there in the preseason, but no need to press the panic button. We know that you'll bounce back and have a great conference season, and we're looking forward to it. We really appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us. Now, before you go, we have our Trailblazer Weekly hard hat. All of our guests sign this thing.
All right.
It's
I thought you were going to make me wear it.
No, you can put it on if you want, but go ahead and sign that thing anywhere you want, and just kind of our way to show who's been on the show and how much we appreciate you for being here. So thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. We wish you the best of luck. And,
thank you.
And we'll be there cheering you on at all the games. So
perfect.
It's time for another break. When we come back, we'll take a look ahead at the next week in Dixie State Athletics. We'll also hear from senior outside hitter Delayne Daniel in our player profile feature. We're back with more Trailblazer Weekly after this timeout.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
There is a place where young and old make connections, where kids feel like grown-ups, and grown-ups feel like kids. There is a place where beauty arises in contrast, where wonder is universal, and laughter second nature. There is a place where friends find a future, families find each other, and feelings find their home. There is a place.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Welcome back one final time to Trailblazer Weekly, live on CEC TV and SouthernUtahLive.com. It's time to take a look at the next week in Trailblazer Athletics. It's another busy week, and it starts today. It's men's and women's soccer opening Pac West play at Azusa Pacific. Of course, the men's team will be the first to get in action. That game starting at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so 6 p.m. Utah time, and then the women's team at Azusa Pacific will kick off at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time and 8:30 p.m. Mountain time tonight in Azusa, California. We move to Friday with a couple events on Friday for you. First, men's golf seeing their first action of the season at the St. Martin's Invitational. That'll be a Friday and a Saturday tournament. And then women's swimming with their debut season coming up. They will have a scrimmage at 6:15 p.m. at the Washington City Community Center if you want to go out and catch the women's swimming team in action for the first time this season and for the first time in their program's history. We move on now to a busy Saturday in Dixie State Athletics, the 24th. Men's golf, like I mentioned, that Friday-Saturday tournament at St. Martin's Invitational. And then men's and women's cross country also getting back in action after being off for almost a month. They will be at the Cal State San Bernardino Coyote Classic in San Bernardino, California. The women's team getting a 9 a.m. Pacific time start, and the men's team, a Utah time start, and the men's team with a 9:45 a.m. Utah time start there in San Bernardino, California. Then the volleyball team, the lone home match event of the afternoon, will take on Holy Names at noon at the Student Activity Center. So encourage you to get out and to support your Trailblazer volleyball team at the Student Activity Center as they look to go 3-0 in Pac West play. Men's and women's soccer will also be in action at Point Loma. The men's soccer team at 11:30 a.m. at Point Loma, and then the women's soccer team at 2 p.m. Of course, those times Pacific, so add an hour on to each of those times for the Utah times. And then football wrapping up the afternoon with a non-conference matchup at former GNAC conference foe at Central Washington. The Trailblazers will look to rid the sour taste of a heartbreaking loss at Central Washington to end the game, to end the season last year. That game will kick off at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. We move forward to next week as we wrap up the next week in Dixie State Athletics. Men's golf will be in action on Monday and Tuesday as well at the Western Washington Viking Invitational. Of course, that's an all-day tournament on Monday. Volleyball also in action that day, hosting Hawaii Hilo at 6 p.m. at the Student Activity Center. On to Tuesday, this day 2 of the men's golf Western Washington Viking Invitational, and then men's and women's soccer also in action, hosting Holy Names at Legend Solar Stadium. The men's game will go first at 4:30 p.m., followed by the women's game at 7 p.m., again at Legend Solar Stadium. So a good opportunity to see both of the soccer teams in action, and then also kind of wrapping up the next week, the women's volleyball team at Westminster College at 6 p.m. in Salt Lake City on Wednesday in a non-conference matchup. So another busy week in Dixie State Athletics. Of course, we'll have all those results for you next week on the show, as well as recaps and statistics online for you at dixieathletics.com. Before we wrap up the show today, it's time for our player profile feature. This week, Trailblazer Weekly correspondents Shelby Young and Hayden Peterson caught up with volleyball senior outside hitter Delayne Daniel.
I'm Delayne Daniel. I play outside hitter here at Dixie State. I'm from Pleasant Grove, Utah. This will be my second year here at Dixie State. I'll be a senior. My major is computer science, majoring in digital design. I've been playing volleyball my whole life. I can't remember a time where I really wasn't playing volleyball. My dad played professional sand in California for a couple years. He loves volleyball, and so he started me playing volleyball when I was really little, and I have so many memories of him and me in the gym, him teaching me how to jump serve and how to dig balls. And as soon as I was old enough, he'd have me come with him because he coaches, he coached the UVU men's team and the BYU men's team. He'd have me play with them. And my dad has a huge influence on my play. It's funny, we have so many similarities in the way that we play volleyball because I learned how to play from him. My dad, my mom, and I guess maybe Destiny Hooker is one of my favorite volleyball players. She's on the USA team, and I really love her. She's an awesome player, and sometimes I'll watch her play before games, get me pumped up. Probably the thing that motivates me most is the fact that this is my last year. I'm a senior, and so I guess it just makes me super motivated. I want to make this the best year. I want to make this year awesome and memorable. So I guess that motivates me. Every day in practice, to work hard. Give it all I can. If you're gonna come here, you need to be ready to work, but also it's a lot of fun. It's not easy, but it's really rewarding. It's awesome to be able to be a part of that, to be a part of the athletic program. But yeah, get ready to work. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of, catching my breath that this is my senior year. I'm trying to figure out what my plan is gonna be, because it came on me really fast. But I'm going into digital design, and I'm really liking it so far. Hopefully I can find a good job, good career, and go into something that I like. I'm Delayne Daniel. Come support the volleyball team this fall. Thanks for watching.
Delayne Daniel having a fantastic weekend in Dixie State volleyball last week, and we were just really excited for her. Again, the first Dixie State volleyball National Player of the Week honors in its Division II history. That'll do it for today's show. We appreciate you watching. I'm Keric Seegmiller, and we will catch you next time on Trailblazer Weekly.